Rogers is taking the field now. Campanella catching, and Newcomb on the mound, firing him down here. The play-by-play, here's Vince Scully. Vince? Thank you, Jerry, and good afternoon, everybody, and a very pleasant Easter Sunday to you, wherever you may be. We have plenty of seats, especially in the upper deck on third base. There's choice seats, too, and they're wide open. So if you're anywhere in the vicinity of Ebbets Field, we have the seats, and we hope you'll come on out with us.
Card number 46, Roy Campanella, which would have been more appropriate for last Sunday, but I don't have control over these cards and the order that Bowman released them. We've got a different team in mind for this Sunday. Card Room Live. Hello, everybody. If you're in the chat, I hope you'll introduce yourself. I hope you'll make yourself known. And if you're listening to this later, maybe you're going to work, coming home from work, sorting cards, looking at eBay, walking the dog, all the usual things that you do when you're listening to this. I don't even know what to call this. It's not a podcast. It's too disorganized to be a podcast. Whatever you're doing, I hope you get something out of it. I hope you enjoy it. Always like to hear comments about your thoughts on the session. If you want to get in touch or have ideas for future sessions, you can email me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Bowman53_Alex, if that's your thing. Not everybody's on Instagram, but those of you that are, you can reach me there. I'm also on Twitter. I forget what my Twitter handle is, but it's something to do with 1953 Bowman. You'll find me there too. So take a look in the chat real quick. Rick is here. Rick had a good time with you last time. Anybody that was not able to check it out, did a great session last time with Rick and some other Dodger collectors, Jesse, Think Blue 77, Geez, Mikey. Was a lot of fun. Happy Sunday to you, sir. John's here. That's right. Roy Campanella has a connection to Philadelphia. Hello, David. Hello, Larry. What's my favorite multiplayer card? Oh man, John, you're trying to catch me off guard. I'll just say the Mantle Bauer Berra card. I don't know that that's actually my favorite one, but it's the first one that popped into my mind, so I'll just go with that for now. What's your favorite, John? And there's Reese. Well, okay, good to see you, Reese. It's time to bring in our guests. How you doing, A's fan Jim? Good to see you. And I'm sorry about your team. I don't know how you're feeling about that. We might talk about that tonight too. But good to see you. They've been hanging around back here for long enough. Let me bring these two people out. If you saw my message about what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about a team from Cleveland, and everybody knows who we're going to have in here to talk about this team. We've got Nina and we've got Scott. How you guys doing?
Great, buddy.
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I should say we have Nina, we have Scott, and we have Scott's new baseball cap.
Yes.
Scott, how long have you had the hat?
I got it just this week.
Okay. And
Very
have you
excited
taken
about
it.
it. I have not.
I don't blame you. Can you, because just in case anybody doesn't know, can you talk a little bit about like how you found it, where it's from?
So this is from Ebbets Field Flannels. So it was not cheap, but they send me ads and emails because I'm on other lists because I really want like the Cleveland Naps cardigan that they haven't made yet, but my fingers are crossed. So this is the 1921 Cleveland Indians hat with the short brim.
Right. Super
And
cool.
It's pretty rad.
All right, so we got Nina, we got Scott, and this is going to be super casual, but I want to get to know Indians / Guardians fandom through the two of you and your own experiences. But obviously, we're going to be looking at cards first and foremost. Let me ask you guys before we get into the cards. Can you recall like the early days of your fandom? Like how did you get into it, and do you have any like associations with family members or friends, and like how did it all start for you? Nina, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, it started with me, sadly, kind of when my father passed in
Right.
2016, and he had been a lifelong Cleveland Indians fan. And so I decided, I need to get into this team because my mom watched all the time. And I picked a really good year to become a Cleveland Indians fan. They went to the World Series that year. And that doesn't happen often in Cleveland. But then I started, as my mom and I talked more about it, she was remembering when she first met my dad, and it was in 48, right after the Indians won the World Series. Indians, now Guardians, won the World Series. And she said that's all my dad could talk about. And fortunately, my mom liked sports, so she was cool with that. But I think that's probably one of my greatest regrets is that I never really talked to my dad really deeply about the Indians. He did take me to a game when I was a kid, but we didn't chat about the Indians. So, that's the way life goes sometimes.
Right, but I mean, there's a lot of, not to get too deep on us here, but I feel like there's a lot of times in families where you don't necessarily talk at length about something, but there's still that connection there that's really strong. Like even now to this day, like my dad and I don't necessarily go in depth about the Phillies, but like I have this really strong association with my dad and like growing up and watching the Phillies. And we don't necessarily need to talk about it for that to be strong.
No, that's true. And what's fun about collecting the 52 Bowman set and any of the 50s and 40s cards is that I feel a connection to him, especially now that he is gone. It's just I wonder, who was my dad's favorite player? I mean,
Right.
was he at this game? So
Sure.
it's good to remember him through these 50s teams.
All right, Scott, you got to answer this question first, though.
So I have the red Indians jersey. So I did wear it to the National in Chicago last time I was there. So yeah, I would wear it.
Okay, so it might happen.
It would be even better with the pants.
Right?
All right, cool. Scott, so what's your story?
So mine isn't as like heartwarming as Nina's. It's just I grew up, south of Cleveland, and in about 1988, I became a really big baseball fan, and not really having to do with my family or anything. They're kind of into it because I am, but other than that, it's just because I enjoy baseball and they're my local team. So that's what I do.
Right. Can you guys, and this is just from your personal perspective, like, can you describe what it means to be a Cleveland fan? Because, like if somebody asked me that, I could talk about Philadelphia fandom, all day long. But I'm just curious to hear it from your perspective, because it's one thing to look at it from the outside. It's another thing to be a part of it. So how do you see it, like, and how far does it stretch? Because it's obviously got to go beyond Cleveland. Like where is the fandom?
Nina.
Well, it is, as with any baseball team, you have your frustrating moments. I've had my share of them this year, but I was kind of when was into this transition from the Reds to the Indians. I actually went. I had within a week's time period, I had gone down to the ballpark in Cincinnati, and had a fun time. And then a week later, I went up for my first game at Progressive Field, and I could not believe the difference. And no offense to anybody that's a Cincinnati Reds fan, but everybody was so into the games. They, so supportive. I don't know the exact number of seats, but it feels smaller and more intimate to me in Cleveland. And then I think what I really love about being a Guardians fan is, one, because they do have such an amazing history, but two, the Midwest, we're kind of the underdogs anymore. And I like the fighting spirit of Cleveland. Of course, we all are afraid of what happened to Oakland. That someday we might not have them, but I don't. You got to put that aside and enjoy them for who they are today. And my whole family are, we're all Cleveland Guardians fans, and so we're always talking. Did you see this game? Did you see this play? Oh, who's your favorite player right now? How do you think we're going to do? And of course, we have probably, I would say, the best manager in Major League Baseball. So you can't, when I start to get a little shaky on what's going on, I'm like, yes, but as the T-shirt said, Tito knows best. So how about you, Scott?
Well, Peter said Cleveland, it must be tough to be a Cleveland fan, but I don't really agree. Like, we sort of embrace that underdog thing. And we've actually been pretty good for the past decade or so, especially with Tito on board. Now, growing up in the 80s wasn't so good, but I wasn't around for the 60s and 70s, fortunately. But yeah,
Right.
it's fun to embrace the underdog role.
Right.
And I don't really think of us as, maybe we're an underdog when it comes to the East or West Coast. I don't know, but we've got these young players who they embrace baseball for the small game. We don't have Aaron Judge, and we don't have all the big name home run hitters, but we play small ball. And to me, that kind of takes me back in time too. It's fun to watch them.
It really does.
They kind of eke out these games, and you're like, oh my gosh. And that makes it fun. It's not just like, although we did have 2 back-to-back home runs today, but that doesn't happen often. But it's fun to watch them.
I agree.
Almost like modern day Whitey ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's every now and then it's nice to have like a wipeout where you win 20-0 or something. But I much prefer the games that are a little bit more on the edge of your seat, and you eke out a win. So how do you guys feel about the team this year? Like, how are things looking?
Yeah, I feel pretty positive. We don't usually play well in the spring anyway. This is just kind of who we are, and I'm learning to embrace that. We had a brand new pitcher today, Logan T. Allen, not our old Logan Allen. And the kid was so cute and amazing. I can say cute. I don't mean like, oh, he's cute. But he had his whole family in the stands, and his first pitch is a strike, and he had quite a few strikeouts. And I think, to me, that's what makes the Indians fun to watch too, is that we do have great pitchers. And, they keep getting hurt, and they just keep calling Columbus and say, send us another one. So I've learned to have a great appreciation for pitchers watching this team.
Scott, what do you think?
Also pretty excited about the year. It's they're 500 right now, but it's April, and they were doing worse last year, and they surprised everybody.
Right.
We're kind of duking it out with the Twins right now. We like to do that.
Yeah. I mean, personally just want a team that is contending, like they're hanging around. They don't, they don't have to blow everybody out of the water, but as long as they're sort of hanging around 500 for most of the season, it makes it worth paying attention, seeing how they do. Cool. All right, let's see some cards. You guys, like, what's the earliest, going back all the way into Cleveland's history, what's the earliest card either of you have?
Go ahead, Scott, buddy.
All right. I started actually collecting. My resurgence in collecting was in 2019. So this was the first card I bought when I started collecting again. It was a T206 Ted Easterly.
Beautiful. That is like a super rich red card.
It is. It's a neat card. And then it's like the rest of the T206s for Cleveland are mostly the yellow ones. So here's Lajoie. Lajoie portrait. And then I have the Lajoie game pieces.
Oh, nice.
Those are so nice.
Mm-hmm. And here's Addie Joss. More yellow. More yellow. Another Addie Joss. And Elmer Flick. More yellow. Yep.
Are they all yellow? I have to look at mine.
There's the Cy Young portrait is green, and then the Milkman Cy Young is blue, and then there's that just random Ted Easterly, which is red.
That is funny. We need Max Jackson on here to tell us that's a theme.
I had forgotten that you had done that, Scott. The T206 run. I was expecting like, oh, I've got like one, and then boom, like you've got the whole lineup. He's
got the real Cleveland and Naps.
Yeah.
The Naps back then.
I feel like you did a video on it. Was there something that prompted it? Was it like an exhibition or something?
So I had completed the team. And when I did that, it was like when I got a Lajoie card was the last player I needed, but there's still like 3 cards that I need to complete the set. The 2 of the Cy Youngs and then 1 Lajoie. But here's the other Cy Young. It's yellow.
Yeah, Don, soak it up, man. Say this as much as you can.
Hey, Don. Well, I'm happy for you, buddy.
Yeah, no, I am too, even though it means that the Phillies are not doing very well. I'm happy for the Pirates. Nina, how about you?
Okay. I don't have quite the illustrious lineup that he does, but I have a T205. We'll see how I do with the light here. George Stovall.
There you go.
I love these. I like the T205s. And then, as Scott pointed out, I've got a Joe Birmingham T206 with yellow background. And my last T206 is a Neil Ball.
Oh, nice.
Who looks like he's a pitcher, but he's not a pitcher. So
can I get you guys to hold up those T205s? Because I think Scott has it too. Yeah, there we go. There has to be at least one time where this happens. I can't join you guys, but that's great. Cool.
Oh, Stovall. Now you got me onto, Alex, one of the first videos I watched of yours. Like I got you like after you finished your Bowman 53 collection.
Yeah.
And you got me into the T207. So I have Harry Davis, who at that point was the manager of the Naps. And then, and I've talked about this guy ad nauseum, George Kaler, who grew up in my hometown here and went to the same university and everything. And he pitched for a while for the Indians or for the Naps.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What's next for you guys chronologically? I mean, we can jump around. It doesn't have. No one's gonna freak out.
Go to the 20s?
Maybe Don will get upset. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is what I want to see because honestly, you know, we won the series in 1920. So I was like, I'd like to have some cards from that era. Well, that was not the best era to be. Well, I don't think.
It really isn't.
You know, maybe other people can write in and say, Nina, you know, look at this, look at exhibition
Slim
cards or
pickings.
something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's just not like, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Scott. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Here is a 1921 Speaker.
Was it a strip card?
It is a strip card.
Cool.
Very cool.
Those are kind of hit or miss in my opinion, but that one looks great.
They really are. I like the patina on that one. Here's another. This one's George Burns. He's playing for the Giants. He was on the Indians in 1920. So I kind of like that one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Yingling, 1928, George Uli.
Cool.
And here is a American Caramel Bill Wamsgans.
That's a great name.
Cool.
Yep. So that's here's a blanket.
Oh, neat.
Ray Chapman.
Oh. Are there, Scott, are there any cards of Ray Chapman out there?
There is, and they're super expensive.
Mm.
And
Chapman is
I
the
don't have
guy
any.
that had the fatality, right? Or threw
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Cool. I mean,
Um,
not cool, but all right.
no, that's his claim to fame, and I've tried to find some of his cards, but it's. I
But
have
my
not had any
issue
success.
is the strip cards. A lot of them are ugly, and most of the caramel cards are kind of boring, just kind of black and white images. The Wamsgan's not too bad, and then the other caramel ones with the ornate borders, like some of the pictures are just kind of eek.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have the only one I have just because I have to have one from this era
Yeah,
is Nunemaker, who was quite a character, and this is kind of the end of his career, but he was buddies with Tris Speaker. So
Hmm.
he got to play on the World Series team.
Whamsgans only unassisted triple play in World Series.
correct.
Cool.
Very cool.
So I've been working on the autographs from the 1920 team. This one is Elmer Smith. So he had the first Grand Slam in the World Series, I believe.
Wow.
And this is a reprint. Here's Wamsgans.
Cool.
Here's George Burns. Kovaleski.
Oh, Stanley.
Yeah. So he won 3 games in the 20 World Series. And there's Joe Sewell, who
Nice.
took over for Ray Chapman. He was a rookie that year, and then he ended up as a Hall of Famer. So that was kind of cool. And he averaged like ridiculous, like 6 strikeouts per year in his career.
Wow.
That's
He's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
I got a funny story. So today I was telling Scott and Alex that I was getting a little nervous about this live stream. Just because that's me.
And she's doing great, right, everybody? I mean, yeah.
But anyway, I have this T201 of this is my only Elijah Way, but I kind of like this card. I think it's funny. He's got his little sweater
and he's
on.
like, it's like the ball. He's almost about to hit it, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the guy on the other side is a guy named Falkenberg. If you don't know these cards, when you have them out of the holder, they fold and like they share the legs. So anyway, this Falkenberg has the nickname Cy, and he was a pitcher, and he hit a grand slam. At his only hit in a game was a grand slam, and what happened was they said the ball fell between the infield and outfield, and it rolled under the stands.
Oh my gosh,
And
that's classic.
nobody could get the ball, so he had an in the park grand slam, and that was the only time.
Yeah, so I love those stories from that era because the stuff that happened sounds like the nonsense that might happen like in a little league game, you know, like
Right.
just like, oh, the fans got involved and it's like, wait, what? Like, how is that possible?
Well, and they said we have a pitcher right now, Tristan McKenzie, who is, if he weighs 150 pounds, it's a miracle. And he's like, I don't know, what is he, Scott, like 6'4" or something.
Yeah, I think so.
But this guy was, I don't know, they said like 170, like 6'5". You know, back then, I'm sure he looks like a total goofball, but anyway. But he's not, he's in the back of this Lajoie card, and if you can see, he just has his arms folded. So I don't, we didn't show him pitching, which is what he was.
Yeah,
But
he just looks a little grumpy.
anyway, that's my funny story.
Oh, that's great. All right, are we moving into
We got some 30s.
30s? Great.
All right. It's
Thank
not
you,
much.
Reese. Thank you, Reese. Reese, he's in my fan club.
So I know Nina's got this one,
Oh
Yes.
yeah, we were just
Yeah.
talking about that guy.
right?
Yeah.
I heard he hit like 344 one year.
To check that. Yeah.
And here's Earl Averill
Nice.
Awesome.
and Sam Rice. So Walter Johnson was the manager, I think, in 33, and he convinced Sam Rice to come over and play for a year.
Nice.
So that's pretty much all I got for the 30s.
Slim pickings in the 30s. I have the
Yeah.
Trotsky, yes, and I got the Trotsky based on TJ Terry Mack's advice. He has a great collection, and I was asking him about possible Indians to buy, and he recommended Trotsky. So
Yeah, that one's such a great shot. He's like hitting it, and you got the umpire and the catcher looking off. That's great.
Yeah.
yeah, that's my only 30s card. So, and I don't think I have it. Well, yeah, I got a couple 40s.
Do you have it? Do you have it there? Let's see your Trotsky, Nina.
Yeah, sorry about my light. It's so obnoxious.
There you go.
Anyway, there we go. There we go.
Perfect.
Hold my breath.
I'm jealous. That one's definitely on my list for Diamond Stars.
I love the pinstripes too.
Right. Any 40s cards?
I have two, only two. Scott, you probably will stack. I'll do mine so we can get the Scots. Because one is I have the Feller,
Oh,
thanks
wow.
to our friend Alan. He gifted this to me as he was. He said he was kind of redoing his collection, and he said, "Do you have the 49 Feller?" And I was like, "Nope." And actually, it's my first Feller. So, thank you, Alan. And then I found this Boudreaux. I've been wanting a Boudreaux. Come on, Nina. How many times you got to do this? And he's got a little tiny corner taken off, but he got a 1. What the heck?
Oh yeah. You know what? I didn't even notice it.
I know,
Great.
but I kind of like the corner. I'm like, oh, yeah, somebody probably just pulled it out of his pocket wrong.
Right.
All right, Scott. Let's see.
There's
Yeah,
mine.
it's 4.5. Well,
So Feller and Boudreaux were both signed by Cy Slapnicka.
good old side.
So he was a scout. He played in early 1900s, I think, but he and he kind of broke the rules when he signed both of them. With Feller, he I think if I could be wrong, but Feller's dad didn't want him going to the minors, and you weren't allowed to do that because only minor leagues could sign amateur players, and then major league teams had to sign or had to purchase minor league players. So Feller was signed to the major leagues, and MLB stepped in, and they actually made him a free agent. And the Yankees were hot on his trail, but he decided to stay with Cleveland. So that was kind of cool.
Right.
And then with Boudreaux, Boudreaux was playing for University of Illinois. He was playing baseball and basketball, and he like wanted to finish out his college career. And Boudreaux was like, okay, like he gave him a little bit of money. It's like, just sign with us when you're done. And then Boudreaux obviously lost his eligibility, and got in trouble for that one too. But Boudreaux stayed with Cleveland too, so that was kind of neat.
What a
Comment
great
from
name.
Dom from Staven Sports Cards. Just recently found out a coworker of mine's maiden name is Boudreaux and is related to Lou. That's cool.
Wow, that is cool. Now, Scott tipped me off to this book. Alex has read this book. If you haven't read this book yet, and you're interested in Larry Doby, Bob Feller, and of course Satchel Paige and Bill Veeck, it's an awesome book. You don't have to be a Indians fan to enjoy the book.
Some homework after the session.
There you go. The teacher is assigning you 50 pages by Monday.
Here's one of my favorite 40s players. It's Rollicking Raleigh Hemsley.
Oh, nice.
So in 1940, Bob Feller threw his no-hitter on opening day, and Hemsley was the catcher. And after the game, he was quite a drinker and a troublemaker. And after the game, he wasn't drinking with everybody, and the reporters were asking him, why aren't you drinking? And he admitted that he was an Alcoholics Anonymous, which was a really new thing at that time, and nobody had ever heard of it. So it really brought to light. He got in trouble because like they were mad at him because it was supposed to be anonymous, but it brought a lot of attention to that group, which is kind of neat.
Oh, I did not know that.
That is cool. What else you got, Scott?
All right, here's some Leafs. We got Jim Hegan.
Oh yeah,
and it's just this gorgeous card. Here's Joe Gordon.
Yeah, so ahead of their time.
Yeah. Here's Boudreaux. Here's MP and Company Larry Doby when he was a white pitcher with the number 57.
Close enough. He's a baseball player, right?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
It's not about accuracy.
Here's my 48 Bob Feller.
Nice. I don't think Feller has a bad card.
There's Boudreaux.
Boudreaux. Nice.
And here's Feller. So these aren't bond bred, I guess. I don't know what they are anymore.
There's nothing on the back.
No.
Mm-hmm.
People confuse them for bond bred, I guess, but they don't have the rounded corners with the same images.
Right.
But I don't remember what they are.
Yeah, they're just not bond bred, but
Right.
we don't know what they actually are.
Early win.
Nice. I love those patches they had. Those sort of American emblems there.
Here's an exhibit. Doby.
That one's sweet.
Yeah. Exhibit Satchel.
Wow.
And exhibit Feller.
Scott, you thought I'd envy your hat. I envy your collection. Totally cool.
All right. Here's,
Roll on the 50s here. Here they come.
This is
Oh,
the stadium.
municipal.
So they built it in 33 or 32, I think. They opened it in 32. And it was so big that they didn't like playing there. So they just kept playing at League Park. And when Mr. Vec took over the team, he's like, I can fit more people in that stadium, so that's where we're going to play.
Right.
And then here's Greenberg as the general manager.
Oh yeah. Looking good.
Yep. So that's my 40s.
Hey,
Awesome.
in that book, I love the stories about how Vec filled up the stadium by having like a circus come before or after the game, and he had fireworks. And what's the one? So it's one story about something like, I want $20,000 worth of fireworks, and they're like, well, we can do that. And he's like, no, I want you to shoot them all off at one time. I was like, I like this guy. Thank you, White Sox. Yeah, I mean, he filled that place up. I can't even imagine what that was like. And that he walked around the stadium with his bad foot and everything. He just like plopped down next to, fans in the stands. The 50s. All right.
Here we go. I can actually participate in this one. Let's see.
All right.
My very first favorite Larry Doby card is the one I've shown a million times, but it's the one that's not graded and is all beat up, and I like to just take it out and hold it because it makes me feel connected to Larry. I've got 52 Bowman Larry, and I just got this.
Oh, nice.
Thank you to Maiko, who sent it in, and I am so happy I got a 5 on this. I've been looking for this card forever. Even I had Reese looking and Brian at the Philly show. I mean, the Philadelphia show. Harry Suitcase Simpson.
Oh, that's a cool one. Can you hold that one up again? That's kind
Yeah.
of I don't know that I've seen that before. That's really cool.
I know. I love his stance.
Yeah, he's just about ready. That's cool.
Right. And my buddy Luke Easter. I got that one graded too. There's some of these 52 Bowman cards are in pretty good condition. So that's all for 52 Bowman. What all
Cool.
you all have?
All right, I'll go through
Go ahead.
mine. No surprise. I didn't pull all the Indians, but I'll show you
Okay.
the ones that I grabbed. So speaking of Suitcase Simpson, there he is.
Yeah. I don't think I pulled that one out.
Mike Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
This actually might have been the very first card I ever got
Really?
from this set. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And it's
Also
if
the
you
first
look,
one.
you probably can't see it, but it's a near min 8. And this
Oh.
was back when I was like, I'm just gonna get all 8, and then I quickly realized that's not gonna work.
Oh,
Here's your buddy Larry.
yay.
This is one of my favorites, Roberto Avila
Oh, yeah.
making a play, backhand stop.
Making a play, air quotes.
Yes, exactly. Al Rosen
Nice.
and Mr. Bob Feller.
Yeah. And is that the one you think maybe was at spring training or something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look in the backgrounds, like that's not Cleveland back there,
No.
right? Too flat. And one other non-Bowman. Here's Bob again.
Oh, yeah. Look at that smile.
And that's what I got for Cleveland.
I think
What
the
do you got,
only.
Scott?
So my first 53 Bowman card was
There
Mike
you go.
Garcia.
Hey.
Yeah,
No way.
in your mint 8.
It's just the thing to do, I guess.
Right.
Oh.
So here's a 1950 Mike Garcia signed.
Oh, nice.
51 Feller. $51 Doby. $52 Burke Rossfeller.
Oh, cool.
And let's see, 52 Al Rosen.
Nice.
Signed, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Cool.
52 feller.
Beautiful.
And here's another red one.
Nice.
We're into my 53 Bowmans.
Mm-hmm.
Al Lopez.
Yep.
Here's Rosen kneeling for Don. And here's Luke Easter kneeling for Don.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, Mike. I don't think I've ever seen the Burke Ross feller. That's cool.
Rick sent me that one.
Oh, nice.
Rosen
Nice.
feller. Here's my Wheaties feller.
Sweet. Those are so fun. I mean,
They are.
Those Wheaties are just great. So nice to look at.
Dandy Bob Lemon. Let's see. They want to see the Burke Ross again. There's that Burke Ross.
That's cool.
Oh, finally. Yeah.
Yep.
Red Hearts.
And then I had to get the whole team. So here's Lemon and Hegan.
Man, Scott, you've been busy.
And then here's some Red Mans.
Yeah. I love that one. That's one of my favorites from that set.
And then there's the Rosen.
Nice.
So that's my 50s.
Sweet.
Now I have a great 50s card for my buddy Scott. Of his favorite guys, the Destruction Crew.
Right.
Yeah.
Minoso, Calavito, and Dobie. I love this card. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. Those are great.
There's
Oh, yeah,
mine.
there you go.
That's my favorite. I guess I wasn't done because I got Don Mossy in here.
How could you forget? Yeah.
And then Don Mossy.
He gets his own separate showcase.
Right. Herb Score. So he was supposed to be the next Bob Feller, left-handed Bob Feller, but he had injury issues. Here's Rocky Colavito.
Yeah.
Roger Maris.
Right.
It's a nice 58 Dobie.
Nice.
More yellow. And then now I'm done.
How did you become such a Rocky Colavito fan?
He was actually one of the first autographs I got as a kid. I'm not sure how I got it, but I have an 8x10 that's signed by him. And it just talking to older guys in card shops. I spent a lot of time in a card shop as a kid, and they're like, he was awesome. And
Very cool. Did he die a long time ago?
no, he's still alive.
Did you ever do a drawing for him?
I have not. No.
Oh, Scott,
No.
come on, man.
Maybe time.
Maybe Tom, another assignment from the teacher.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Are we going into the 60s?
Yeah, and then you'll lose me here which is fine. I want to see what Scott's got anyway.
You know what? There's not much to choose from because when they traded away Rocky Colavito in 1960, it led to 30 years of misery.
Mm.
So there's really nothing in the 60s.
Oh, well, there's stuff. It's just not stuff you want
There's
to
stuff
show.
in the 60s, like this guy.
Right. And that's
But
not
wrong team.
that's not who we're talking about.
The dark years. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's when the light shifted to the other end of the state.
Yep.
Right. So is that a conscious thing for you guys? Like just you just kind of skip over that decade more or less?
Well, me, because I really was a Reds fan, so I wasn't really paying much attention to the Indians then.
Right.
And Scott wasn't born.
Yeah, I wasn't around, so I can ignore it. But I'm still collecting all the '60s cards and the '70s cards. So I guess we can move into '70s.
Yeah, sure.
They
Yeah.
traded away their rookie of the year, Chris Chambliss. They traded away everybody. Then let's see. This is Rick Manning, who had a lot of promise. This is Mr. Eckersley, who also had a lot of promise. But
Yeah.
Rick Manning had an affair with Eckersley's wife, and then they traded him away.
Wow.
But now he helps call the games, so
Yeah,
all is forgiven.
maybe. I don't know. I guess the high point would be Frank Robinson becoming the first African American manager.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a great manager, but it was his first managing gig. But he had trouble like handling some of the players. He expected a lot from them. And like I read that Gaylord Perry just did not like him at all because he's an old Southern guy.
Mm.
So that's the '70s.
Wait, this is my absolute favorite card from the '70s. I'm going to step away from the Indians again. This is my card. If you think of little Lena riding around on her bicycle, trading her baseball cards with the neighbor boys, this was my guy. And I traded away all my Pete Roses for tons of Johnny Benches. So that's my
Wow.
childhood hero right there. And that particular card. And that's all the Reds all show.
Far more interesting than what was going on with the Indians in the 60s.
Oh, shoot.
Peter wants to see Louis Tiant. So there's Louis Tiant.
Yeah, another player that went elsewhere and
Right.
had his day.
Craig Nettles did start as an Indian. Traded away.
Is there a reason for all this, Scott? Why they were so bad then?
Just bad ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So in the '70s, they were owned by the Stofers people. They made the frozen foods, and
Which should mean success.
it should, but
Right.
it didn't. And the GM was Frank Lane, who I read like when he was the GM of the White Sox, he made like in a period of just a couple of years, he made over 100 trades involving 400 players. Like he just traded people. That's what he did. There was no rhyme or reason to any of it. And he traded away everybody that was good and never got anything good in return. And George Steinbrenner was from Cleveland. He wanted to buy the Indians. He made an offer to the Stofers, and it was supposed to be accepted, but I guess it wasn't at the last minute. They pulled out, and then he went on to buy the Yankees.
Wow, I did
my
not know
gosh, I didn't know that either. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
So when did the ownership transition?
It was right after Steinbrenner made the offer. I forget who they eventually sold to, but it was another group that didn't do anything with the team until the Jacobs family bought it in the early '90s.
Right, and that was the start of good things.
Yeah,
It was a great period. Do you have some '90s cards, Scott?
I didn't pull any.
Mm-hmm. Did you? So you were young Scott then?
So I graduated high school in '95.
Okay.
So I remember watching them open the new stadium in '94 during algebra class.
Yay!
Smart.
So that was fun. So
Did you have a favorite player?
I was really into Tommy and Manny.
Hmm.
I kind of like Manny because my dad didn't.
Oh yes, it's fun to like the guys your father doesn't.
Yeah.
Or the
I don't think about it that often, but there's a lot of thanks that Philly has to give to Cleveland for Jim Thome and Charlie Manuel.
Right.
Those two guys like changed things for us in a big way.
Mhm. Very cool. Can I share 2 more books?
Please,
No,
yeah.
I'm not a librarian, but now this book was also recommended to me by Scott. The Best They Could Be: How the Cleveland Indians Became the King of Baseball, 1916-1920. The author is Scott Longert, and he has a series of 3 books published by none other than the Ohio University Press. But Scott, you told me you thought this was the best of the 3. It seems to be the most interesting of the 3.
Right. I like that one the best. Because I kind of really enjoy reading about the 1920 team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that one is all about. And then the other great book about that is The Pitch That Killed, which is all about the Ray Chapman story.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then this one I found, I don't know how I came across this, but is a picture book about Larry Doby, written by Chris Crow. And what I love is the famous picture of
Allie Clark.
Yes. Who's the other player?
Allie Clark.
No,
No?
I don't think so. Hold on. I'll look it up here. He got in a lot of trouble for that picture.
Really?
Steve Gromick. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. New player on the team. Why are you hugging him? So we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, Steve Gromick. A picture. So this is a great book though. So if you need a short book to read about Larry Doby, there's your book.
So I was at a lecture with what's his name that wrote
Longer.
the Best They Could Be. Not Longer, the other guy.
Oh, The Best They Could Be.
No,
Oh,
our team.
our
team.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Luke Epling.
Epling, yes.
Yeah. So I was at a lecture with him, and he was talking about how they should make a Larry Doby Day, kind of like they have a Jackie Robinson Day, but it would be Cleveland always plays in Cleveland on July 5th, and like only they would get to wear number 14 that day, which I think is a neat idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it hasn't already happened. That seems like a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it. Speaking of Larry Doby, I got a card to share with you. This is a modern Larry Doby, and it is a red refractor, 1 of 5. So, and I got this card for steal.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I know, isn't it beautiful?
It's not yellow.
It's not yellow. It's shiny red. It doesn't do it justice on here, but I love that. That's one of my favorite Dobies.
So are you, I mean, Nina, I know that you will dabble in modern stuff. Scott, Nina, are either of you like PCing anybody right now? Or are there any players that like you gravitate towards in terms of collecting? Whether it's like, it doesn't have to be like a current player, maybe, someone in the past 10, 15 years or so.
No, mostly current for me. I mean, I have a lot of Shane Biebers. Obviously, a player Don had never heard of, Jose Ramirez. Way to go, Don. He's like, is that guy good? I'm like, oh, sort of. And Stephen Guan, I know a lot of people out there picking up his rookie card. His year hasn't been quite the start that he had last year, but he's an amazing left fielder. So, how about you, Scott?
So Peter's saying Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. I'm not collecting him, but I know a lot of people do.
Uh,
Honestly, with modern, for the most part, I just kind of like grab the team sets when they come out and put them in a binder and kind of forget about them.
mhm.
What are your guys' feelings on the Major League films? Since we're talking, we have to talk about it. When did you see them? Like, do you revisit them?
I do watch Major League every year,
Oh wow!
and yeah, um, and I did see it when it came out. I don't think my parents were too thrilled with that, but that was all right. I recently watched Major League 2, which I didn't remember. I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but like it's just a movie I didn't remember. But it was really neat that our team was the focus of those movies. That makes them all the more special.
I think when those movies came out, what year was that?
It's 89, I think.
89. So
Yeah.
that's when I was living in Texas. So I wasn't that in tune with the Indians then. So I probably
Right.
saw it once and that's about it. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice that they became the focus and it lives on.
Yeah, and it kind of, I would imagine it's like this nice little bridging of the gap when it comes to like fandom as an Indians Guardians fan in that sort of bleak era where there's not much to cheer for. At least you've got a really awesome movie or two out of it.
Right.
I'm the same way, Scott. I know there's a second one, but I feel like I get all the story points kind of mixed together as one film instead of 1 and 2, but always fun to revisit.
To all you Mets fans out there too, I will forever be sad that we lost Francisco Lindor. I understand why, but he was probably, when I started watching in 2016, I mean, it was like the first game. I was like, who is that guy? And I was heartbroken when we lost him. We've never really recovered shortstop wise there. But I'm happy for him, and I hope that he does well for the Mets. But that was kind of my first big heartbreak. I mean, I was like, was almost a super collector of his. It's like wah wah wah. So
it's hard to be a collector now. Sorry, it's hard to be a collector for players now because you just don't know.
No, right?
What's going to happen?
So since I've been a fan longer, like in the 90s, I was kind of used to losing guys like Ramirez and Tommy. And so like I thought the return for Lindor was pretty good.
Yes.
Especially Jimenez.
Jimenez has been awesome. Anyway.
So apparently there are 3 movies.
Right. The third one's like a minor league Twins movie. I've never seen it.
Okay. So it's kind of like how The Sandlot has 2 movies, but
right.
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But The Hobbit has 3 movies and they're all great.
Yeah, it sounds like Dom's agreeing with you here.
Okay. We haven't shown a card for a while. So here's the first player I met when I was a little kid.
Oh, man.
And he signed that for me.
The eternal Leo Franco.
He was huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, I was little, but.
What else you got? Come on. Show us the goods.
I have a sleeping cat. She's
yeah, I've been looking at that.
Yeah.
And your beard statue back there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a card. This is like one of the first SGC submissions I ever did with Mike O. And I got a 10.
Oh, yeah.
That's a chrome card, which is not easy to do. But I love this card of my buddy Bieber.
There you go.
All right. Looks like you're going to hear about Marquise Grissom.
Marquise Grissom. So Patrick, the card hobbyist, he believes that Marquise Grissom is better than Kenny Lofton, which is just insane. I can pull a Kenny Lofton card.
I do like Kenny Lofton. I have quite a few Kenny Lofton cards.
Here you go. Better than Marquise Grissom.
Nice.
That's what it says on the back of the card, right?
It does. In that little tiny print there.
Oh.
Any Grady Sizemores?
I don't have any graded Grady's.
Now it's like, let's play stump.
Right. Let's see what Scott's got.
Oh no, here they all come. I'm not going to show the rest of it. Like, poor Scott's going to drown trying to find stuff.
Well, Joe Charbonneau, I have a piece of art that Scott did of Joe Charbonneau, and it's autographed.
You had that one?
Yes, I did.
Nice. Joe was a nice guy. Grady Sizemore.
Oh, it happened.
Look at that. Look at that vest.
With the cutoffs.
Now they're getting silly over here. They want an Oral Hershiser.
Oh, he probably does. Give him time, Rick. Later that night.
Yeah, right. Scott draws one.
Oh. Alex, do you have a favorite Indian player?
Since I live in the 1950s, I mean, I gotta say, I definitely. Okay, so here we go. We gotta show this. There it is. It happened.
Awesome, Scott.
And then Don wants Steve Carlton and Phil Niekro.
I really, going back to that book, Our Team, I really found myself appreciating Larry Doby. I've talked about this before, but really appreciating him more than I had before. I mean, like everybody, I knew who he was. I knew what he had accomplished, and I knew a little bit about his career. But like reading about his upbringing and some of the experiences that he had, and that he was somewhat of a introverted person, and not the most talkative, outgoing type. There you go, Don. I really started to identify with him more and just really kind of respect and appreciate him.
Even the stories about when he fought in World War II, the differences between where he was fighting, what he was doing versus his white counterparts.
Right.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah. So I put him way up there. I mean, I also like it's super. I guess nostalgic is the only word I can think of to read about Bob Feller pitching on his farm with his dad, and there's just something very Americana about all that.
Very Field of Dreams.
Yeah, totally.
And Scott wanted to see that.
Boom.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to ask you earlier, Scott, for your 1920. Is it 1920?
So I'm trying to do all the World Series teams.
Okay. Are you? Because I noticed that they're not graded. Do you have any plans for it? Because I mean, part of me was thinking like that would be cool, framed or like put into some kind of a binder or something. Or I don't know if you have any plans for that or not.
I don't really, because a lot of them, they're on reprint cards, like the 20s are especially, and I just get them when I can get them because these guys are all gone.
Right.
The 48 team is coming along nicely, but some of those I have in balls and some are cards.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
You know, I don't really have a preference. I like baseballs because it's all about the autograph pretty much,
Mhm.
and index cards are the same way.
Do you have
But
a piece
it's
of
what you can find.
Do you have a piece of memorabilia from 48? Like, well, obviously the balls are memorabilia, but
Yeah. I have a pin that I don't have with me.
Mhm.
It's downstairs. I don't have a Smokey Joe Wood auto, Mike. But it's a neat little pin, and it's got a like red, white, and blue ribbon on it. It says World Champions on it,
Oh,
so that's kind of cool.
neat.
Trying to think. I have a piece that is it's like a modern piece from the 80s, I think, from a department store. They had a signing with Bob Feller, Bob Lemon, and then Warren Spahn and Johnny Sane. So that was kind of a cool piece.
Cool.
Scott, am I right in thinking that you've been picking up some dandy potato chip cards?
I have.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see that you've like turned a corner in your collecting habits.
So I have the one that was sent to me. Let me see if I can find the other ones real quick here.
Sure.
Dandy chips. They're still around.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't
I'll
realize that.
I'll send you a case one day.
I would love some Dandy's chips.
All right, note to self. Dandy's to Alex.
Yep.
Really? And I found Mitchell.
There he is.
Cool.
He was a great player.
Yeah. A good power hitter that nobody's ever heard of.
Yep, right.
So that's my dandy collection.
Hey, it's something. It's a start. All right, guys. Well, any last cards or last thoughts?
Not really. Like, I want to thank people for tuning in because I know this isn't the Dodgers or the Yankees or even the Giants. But
Hey, you guys were number 2. I mean, I went right, I went right to you guys. I knew you would deliver.
it was the cat and Nina.
It was a cat, and it was the cap too. Scott really made it.
There's another recent pickup.
Wow. I
Very
love
cool.
that card.
Me too.
So I'm trying to do an autograph run of Feller of his playing days cards, which isn't too hard because he signed everything.
It's like a lot.
He was busy.
Did you get anything at the Strongsville show that you and Don and who else was there? Chris?
Chris and Mike, Canadian Mike.
Right.
And Josh was there.
Okay.
And Andrew from Nuffsaid was there.
Oh, nice.
And I thought I had a healthy budget until I ran into those guys. But we had fun. Yeah, I picked up this was from the Strongsville show.
Okay.
And those dandy cards were from the Strongsville show.
Very good.
And I got some other things that I'll show soon.
Okay.
To be continued.
Right.
All right, guys. Nina, Scott, thank you both so much. It was fun visiting Cleveland.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, go Guardians.
Thanks, Alex.
And I hope everybody had a good time. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next weekend. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.